Education meeting October 12, 2022. The board will move immediately into executive session to discuss personnel matters, collective bargaining, and litigation. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor? Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I know we're a little bit late. Work to do, but we got it done. We would like to, Mikhail, you want to do the pledge for us? All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Okay, so under item 4, changes in the meeting agenda, please see added schedules A and B and item M. And now we'll go to, yes, and at this time we are going to defer the approval of our September 28th minutes until our next meeting on 10/26. Going to item 5, student representative report. Once again, Mikhail Zohair.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Mikhail and I'm very happy to be back as a representative of the district student body. The past couple of weeks, as we all know, might have been the most spirited weeks we'll see here in Three Village, let alone in Ward Melville. Between Spirit Week, Pep Rally, and Homecoming, our school and our district proved to really embrace the idea of new beginnings. We began last week with the annual Homecoming Spirit Week, where students showed off their school pride with festive-themed days and activities. Monday started off with Pajama Day, and I tell you all that I could see in the hallways plaid and stripes everywhere. I really mean it. After that comfy day came Tuesday's Twin Day, which is a new spirit day that really went great. Social media apps like Snapchat and Instagram were filled with pictures of people twinning with their friends, and we even had people go all out with things like onesies and colorful costumes. Following that, students enjoyed a day off on Wednesday for Yom Kippur, where everyone was able to catch up on some homework, sleep, or time with friends. Wednesday was a nice break and a great transition into Thursday's Anything But a Backpack Day, which Mr. Bernhard so kindly let us remove most of the restrictions from last year. The only restriction this year, which was nothing alive, was followed very well, and students went all out instead with bikes, giant cones, shopping carts, and so much more. I mean, you can ask Ward Melville security because they had to confiscate a senior's bike since he was riding it in the hallways. Friday ended Spirit Week with our traditional Patriot Pride Day, where sports teams came to school dressed in their team uniforms, and any senior girls who brought a senior shirt were able to showcase those shirts. We finished the day early with Pep Rally, where the varsity fall sports teams were cheered on, in particular the seniors, and the marching band and varsity cheerleaders delivered stellar performances. Students got to leave school early and enjoy the bright and sunny day, and everyone was anticipating the next morning. The grand finale to this eventful week came with Homecoming, which happened last Saturday. Ever since last year when Homecoming was brought back from its pre-COVID glory, the excitement around this event has been getting bigger and bigger. According to Mr. Bernhard, there were well over 1,000 people in attendance on Saturday for both the carnival and the football game, and this was a great turnout considering lots of people were away for Columbus Day weekend. During the Homecoming Carnival, which was run entirely by the Ward Melville student government from 11:30 to 1:15, families throughout the district were able to enjoy fun games and activities offered by over 28 Ward Melville clubs, as well as by the 5 elementary schools. Carnival tables included fun activities like face painting, tattoos, beanbag toss, guess the song lyrics, photo booth, mini basketball, and so much more. And for whoever got a little hungry or thirsty throughout the carnival, student government's carnival concession stand was filled with lots of food and snacks to enjoy along with the rest of the games. After the carnival, everyone in attendance traveled over to the football field and track area to prepare for the football game at 2. There were hundreds of more people that came to Ward Melville just to see the big game. But before, during, and after the game, just about everyone stopped by either the food tent or field house to grab some food and drinks. These 2 areas, which were run also completely by student government, were filled with burgers, hot dogs, popcorn, chips, candy, and soda, and people were ecstatic to be at Homecoming, and so we ran out of almost everything by the end of the day, but I think that's a good sign. The game itself was very exciting to watch between a bustling crowd of Patriot fans and an energetic senior section to the side of the field, and the spirit shakers made by student government members were used by almost everyone on the field to make noise for the Patriots. This year's halftime show was an amazing success, and it was extremely entertaining to watch. The show started with an energetic and challenging performance put on by the Ward Melville varsity cheerleading team, followed by a 10-minute performance of many songs and popular tunes by the Ward Melville marching band. The halftime show continued with a banner parade put on by the 5 elementary schools, whose students worked very hard to create banners that capture the theme of this school year, which is 3V New Beginnings. After lots of careful deliberation amongst myself, Dr. Scanlon, and Dr. Gold, we came to the conclusion that Minnesota best captured this year's theme. After the banner parade to conclude the halftime show, the game continued and went exceptionally well. And as it turns out, the Ward Melville varsity football team delivered a crushing blow to the Riverhead during the game. Ward Melville won against Riverhead with a score of 48-0, which we expected, and is also extremely impressive and a great victory for our own homecoming. Overall, I'm so happy with the way things turned out in the past few weeks. Ward Melville Spirit Week and Pep Rally were a great way to capture excitement for this year's homecoming, and we saw lots of Patriot pride. At homecoming, green and gold were all you can see for miles between the hundreds of balloons tied throughout the backfield and the posters made by student government members for the event. We also saw the return of the Patriot mascot as he walked around taking pictures with people and generating positive attitudes. Homecoming was an all-around success this year, and there are endless people to thank for it. I'd like to mainly thank Dr. Scanlon, Mr. Bernhard, Dr. Gold, and Mr. Jensen for all of their help and support, as well as all of the clubs and PTAs for their continued support in helping us create this year's carnival. I'd also like to thank the student government advisors, Mrs. Chow, Mrs. Edgar, and Mrs. Kramer, for making homecoming the great event it is every year, as well as for every teacher, student, and administrator who volunteered their time to make a united community out of Three Village. Thank you.
Thank you so much, as always. You're awesome. So there's a future in journalism or public speaking or something. I don't know, but you're going to do great. I'm not worried at all about you. Okay, we're going to go to 5B now, our independent auditor's report. We'll turn that over to Mr. Carlson.
Thank you. So each year, our independent external auditor, it's an independent CPA firm, does reviews all of our books and prepares their annual audit report. And my office prepares our financial statements. And the audit report is a review of those financial statements. And here tonight to make the report to the public is the partner in charge of our audit, Tom Smith. Tom's been working on our account for a few years and previously presented the audit report and financial statements in more detail with the board's audit committee. So, after Tom is done with his report, and of course, after any questions, Tom has another school board meeting to attend. So if it's okay, we'll let Tom leave as soon as he's done. Take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go through the bullet points of the audit results. So with that, we have reviewed the financial statements with the audit committee this evening, and we are going to issue clean, unmodified opinions on the financial statements, the extra classroom reports, as well as the single audit, which is an audit we have to do of the district's federal grant money. We also have to issue a report on the internal controls. If we come across any significant deficiencies or internal controls that the board or management needs to be aware of, we would issue that there. I'm glad to say we did not come across any of those that need to be reported to you. There was a finding last year regards to the district overspent the voter approved budget, but that was resolved this year. They did not have a repeat finding, so it's very good that that was cleared. At the end of 2022, the general fund ended up with a fund balance of $20 million, and the unassigned fund balance is below the New York State allowed amount of 4%. You ended up at 2.22% of the subsequent year's budget. So you are in compliance with New York State regulations. So at this point, I really want to turn it over to the board, see if there's any questions on the audit, anything I can answer.
No question, but just a point of clarification. Can you explain what the overspending was for?
Sure. That was for the 2021 school year to keep schools open during COVID. And I would just like to mention something on that. So that was in accordance with special legislation passed by the state legislature and signed into law by the governor, allowing school districts to tap into reserves and spend more than their voter-approved budget for COVID-related expenses. And as hopefully you all remember, we were one of the very few school districts anywhere in the country to keep all of our kids in school, K through 12, 5 days a week, and that cost a lot of money. And so We see the results in our reserve amounts. We see it in the audit comments, but it was something that we chose to do to keep all of our kids in school. And if you remember, last year, the New York State Comptroller issued a report on fiscal stress designations. And we were one of the districts cited for susceptible to fiscal stress. And what that means, and just so you know, what's going to happen again this year, because it's a point system. The points that we get were for total amount of fund balance and reserves compared to our budget. And because our total amount of fund balance and reserves are below 10% of our budget, we get points for that. Something that directly correlates with the amount of fund balance is how much of a tax anticipation note we have to issue each year. Tax anticipation note, for everybody who doesn't know, is we get we don't begin collecting property taxes until January. Our fiscal year starts in July. We need to borrow money at the beginning of the year. We pay it back at the end of the year. It's called a tax anticipation note. Almost all school districts in New York State do it. It's just the basis of the differing calendars between the school district year and the tax collection year. However, the more fund balance and reserves that we have means more cash on hand, the lower the tax anticipation note has to be, and vice versa. So by using a lot of our reserves to keep schools open during 2021, we needed to borrow more in our tax anticipation note. So that also, increasing that generates points. And then because we had less than 60% of the voters vote yes on the budget, that also generates some points. So those are the three areas. Two of them are directly tied to one another that give us points on the fiscal stress. So I would anticipate that we'll get that again. And it's going to take a few years before we get our reserves restored to where they were. Part of that special legislation I mentioned was that borrowing from reserves meant it also had to be paid back to those reserves within a 5-year period. And we made the first payment in this year that just ended, that this financial statement is for. And our total fund balance and reserves did increase somewhat from last year. So we're in the right direction as far as restoring our fund balance and reserves. Would you agree on that, Tom?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So in the consent agenda is the acceptance of the audit report and financial statements. You're not actually approving it for anything, you're just saying that you've accepted it. And then tomorrow, we send it, once the board accepts it, then we can send it to the Comptroller and State Education Department.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 5C, Library and Media Studies. Deirdre Rubenstrunk.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deirdre Rubenstrunk. I am the Executive Director of Technology here in Three Village, and I'm starting to think you like me because you invited me back again. Thank you. Today's presentation is about our Library Media Services Department and specifically our librarians. It's a topic that is near and dear to me because, as most of you know, I began my career as a librarian. I spent a number of years in the Miller Place School District on the secondary level working as a junior high school librarian until I moved here into Three Village and became an elementary librarian over at Setauket Elementary. The ethos of what it means to be a librarian is really something that runs through me, and it's something that I share with all of my fabulous colleagues who have come here today to hear this presentation. So thank you all for being here, and let's get started. The only thing that you absolutely have to know is the location of the library. This is, again, so true of me, so true of all of my colleagues who are seated here in front of you. I am a voracious reader. I expect that most of them are as well. I would guess that many of you here who have entered education and participating in the educational realm are also voracious readers. Personal story, when I was in elementary school, the library was next door to King Cullen. So my mother would go to King Cullen and she would drop me off at the library and I would go in and, collect my 10 to 20 books that I wanted to take out that day. And I'd have to go out to the car and say, Mom, they won't let me take out the adult books. Can you come in and look at all the books and tell them that they have your approval? And she would entertain me until she got tired of leaving milk in the car and decided, can we just get this girl a library card so she can take out whatever it is that she is interested in reading? So thank you, Mom. The mission of the Three Village Central School District Library Media Program is to guide students towards that same type of passion, towards active lifelong learning. The love of reading, not knowing how to read, but the love of reading is the #1 indicator of academic success for any child. And it's part of the reason why we are so engaged in this process. That love of reading extends itself into critical thinking, having an inquisitive nature, some of that design thinking and that engineering thinking that we employ in our STEM fields. All of that starts at a super young age, even with our kindergarten students, really exploring literature and discussing ideas in such an adult way that they maybe did not have access to before. We firmly believe that the libraries are integral parts of our schools. I think we've always heard that old trope, the library is the heart of the school. But more and more, the library is a place of culture. It's a place where we discuss and debate ideas in order to figure out what our values are. And then we share those values throughout our community. So who are we? What better way to describe who a person is than with their Bitmoji? I apologize that I don't have my typical library bun today, but nevertheless, that is who I am on a daily basis. All of our colleagues are here tonight, with the exception of Allison Consonan, who I know is watching from home because she has picked up some viruses from Setauket Elementary School, where her niece attends. So what sets library apart? In every unique curricular area, there's something that's special, that's something that's unique. It's difficult to capture. But here are the 3 things that I think sets library apart from the other academic areas. The first is that it's really cross-curricular. Library is a place where we borrow content from every single one of our colleagues. We're touching on every subject area and every individual interest of our children. And that gives us the depth and breadth to be able to tap into a lot of really unique and special interests that our kids have. The second is culture. Any place where you're having a discourse of ideas is a place where you're going to come up with your value system. And our librarians are so deeply embedded, not only in that culture inside of the library itself, but in their participation in many different committees inside of their buildings. And finally, skills. I am a firm believer, you've heard this from me before, that the content may not last us forever, but the skills will always serve us. And library is a place where we help students to acquire skills that are going to be useful anywhere. College, career, real world, authentic situations. What are our different academic areas of focus? So, reading for pleasure, #1, not, again, learning how to read. I do not know how to teach kids how to read. I am in awe of my reading specialists who can. But I will teach you to love reading. And I will do that by finding the thing that you love. And I know that my colleagues do the same. Research. And research is really a high interest activity as well. No one researches something well that they're not interested in. So really focusing in on the issues, the topics that are so critical to a young person and figuring out how to turn that into something great. Critical thinking. The idea that we're not always going to like the information that we read. It happens to all of us every day. But how do we process our way through that? How do we agree to disagree? A lost art, a skill that many people don't have these days. Digital literacy. How do we navigate the world that exists on the internet? How do we tell the difference between fact and fiction? How do we figure out what our digital persona is going to be and participate in that environment? Digital citizenship. How do we take those values, those ones that we developed during the course of those conversations in library? How do we take those values and then apply it to that virtual environment? And finally, one of the newer pieces to make its way into library, but computer science initiatives. We've seen this everywhere with the addition of maker spaces, 3D printing, coding, and robotics. And our librarians are no different, adding all of those initiatives inside of our libraries. A year in review by the numbers. This is just a quick snapshot to give you an idea of the quantity of information that our students are accessing. So over 200,000 materials, physical materials, books circulated. 200,000 materials are owned. Over 110,000 materials were circulated. So half of the collection is moving in and out at any given time. Over 7,000 unique ebooks and audiobooks read by students. And nearly 900,000 unique research articles accessed by our students, which we know were then read, examined, dissected, analyzed, utilized into compelling arguments. By the way, those are numbers that we use as a team in order to determine our baseline for the year and then where we're going to go. So we look at our circulation together and set new goals and targets. So when you see me again in a couple of years, you can hold me to that. New in the library. Computer literacy and digital literacy are something that the library has pioneered for a while. The library was on the forefront of our one-to-one Chromebook initiative, which, as we know, took off during COVID. What you might not know is that during COVID, our librarians were teaching small group virtual instruction to all of their fellow staff members. That was a moment where everyone needed skills. We had to build capacity so quickly, and this is a group of colleagues that were called upon in order to support others. Digital citizenship and safety. Many of you have heard about the cyber incident that we had a couple of weeks ago. Our librarians are talking to kids about conversations that I need to have with adults about their password security, about ways they conduct themselves with their friends, what information they share, how to keep themselves safe, how to protect their identity, knowing that our students are really vulnerable. Makerspace is coming back in a big way. We love that we are able to add the tangible and the physical back into our libraries. Robotics, on the elementary level, we are adding Ozobots and Bbots into the libraries to teach different sets of skills. And all of our librarians recently completed their Makerspace 3D certification, 3D printing certification, and we're really looking forward to an exciting new partnership with the Emma Clark Library and seeing what our kids are able to develop this year. We're looking at bringing in some exciting local companies that are involved in manufacturing to really show students how this is applied in their real life and what they can expect to see every day as a result of 3D printing. Just ask any kid who has braces. They're going and getting their retainer 3D printed. One of the things that we are most proud of this year is that as a district, we have achieved Common Sense Media Certification, and it is a certification that we will hold until 2023. This certification process meant that each of these educators individually had to become certified. Then they had to certify their building by coordinating different workshops, and then they had to certify their district in collaboration with one another. It indicates that we have committed ourselves to digital literacy and digital citizenship, and that we are now part of a community that assists us in teaching our students those very same skills. So how do we stay connected? We can stay connected on any of these social media platforms. If you are at home, I hope that you take a look, perhaps follow, maybe even like or share something that you've seen. There is nothing that excites me more than a picture of students really engaged doing something authentic and exciting inside of the library, that very creative and unique space that we are so lucky enough to steward. So thank you for all of your support.
Thank you so much. Great job, and the library has always been one of my favorite places, so you're talking my talk. Any questions or comments? Sure.
A quick one. What coding activities are provided at elementary and secondary levels?
Sure. So on the elementary level, we're using 2 different programs. We're using code.org, and we are one of the pioneers of the new Seesaw coding program that we're really using with our primary students. It is a game-based program that teaches them the logic that they're going to need to be able to use in order to move to that level. Something really exciting that's happening in Ward Mobile High School this year, it's taking place with the librarians in collaboration with our coaches. So our coaches are actually surveying our students to figure out what their needs are, and then we're going to be opening up a certification program to our kids. So kids are going to be able to be Microsoft certified, Google certified, 3D printing certified. We're going to be offering you different study skills technology workshops with our technology offerings as well. So I'm really excited to see how that shapes up.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dr. Sandler?
So thank you very much, Mrs. Rubenstruck. You did a wonderful job with this. And thank you to all our librarians. You are the mainstay of our schools and the research that is done by all of our students. Those numbers are incredible. If you think about how many students actually are in the district, dividing that 5,500 plus students into that number, that's impressive. That is truly impressive. So all of you hold a special place in my heart. Having recently finished my doctorate, I was on a first-name basis with a librarian at St. John's University, and I still have to send her checks. But that's a whole other story. But we really do thank you for all of your work. You are amazing folks all across the board, and we really do appreciate everything you've done.
Hear, hear. Thank you. Oh, thank
That
you
was
very
me.
much. That's okay. All right, we're going to move on now to item 6A, and for that, we turn it over to Ms. Solomon.
So this Monday evening, I will be representing the Board of Education at the New York School Boards Association business meeting, where they will be the delegates will be voting on over 40 proposed resolutions that, if adopted or if approved, NYSSBA then will in turn set about supporting in any number of ways, be it through supporting legislation or efforts towards legislation, lobbying, or so on. And so the members of the Board of Education have had an opportunity to look through those proposed resolutions, and are we? If there's any one of those resolutions that anyone wishes to discuss, this would be an opportune time for that.
I'll jump back in on the one that I mentioned last time that just piqued my curiosity. There was a resolution in there about later start time, and the position was that they were going to say no to that. So I was wondering if there was any information we might have on why that they are not recommending that. Jeff, do you want to speak to that?
Would
or-
you like me to? So the New York State School Boards Association, their function is to protect school boards. So their reason for opposing this resolution is not that they're against a later start time. It's that they're opposed to just a mandate that says a school can't start before 8 a.m. There's nothing in there about tax cap. Anything else like, well, what if based on a local district's need, they needed to start a school at 7:55? Nope, 8 a.m., period. So that's why they're opposed to it. Again, not opposed to a later start time, opposed to just a blanket mandate that says a school cannot start before 8 a.m. Without, and one of the biggest things is the tax cap, because some districts, including us, I mean, depending on how it's done, will cost some districts a lot of money, some maybe not as much money, but either way, it has to be fit into the budget somehow. And if there's no allowance made for it to exceed the tax cap, that could be, pose significant problems to some districts. And again, that is why NYSSBA, the School Boards Association, would oppose it, because some of its member districts, it would cause real problems to. So if you as a board were to either go with the recommendation from NYSSBA to oppose it or not, again, that doesn't mean that you're for or against a later start time.
Thank you, that helps clear it up quite a bit. Were there any other particular resolutions anybody wanted to pull out to talk about?
But can we ask Jen to vote no on that that part of the resolution?
We
The
would-
one that we don't like the later start time?
we could pull that out of the consent agenda and call a vote on that one individual, if you
Yep.
like, so,
I
okay?
would like to do that.
Okay, so, we are going to separately look at, do you know the number of the resolution? 41? Okay, so we're pulling out Resolution 41, and we, would like to have a motion to vote on that separately.
So moved.
Second? Okay. All in favor of approving NYSSBA's no, that's an oxymoron, show of hands. Okay, all who would like to vote no against their no. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so NYSSBA is saying we do not want to mandate a later start time. So our saying yes would mean that we support them and saying, no, let's leave it up to individual districts.
That's what we had said
That's
we
what we're
wanted.
voting on, yes.
That's exactly what we
Leaving it up to
wanted.
individual districts.
Right.
Leaving it up to each individual district.
Right.
Okay, so the way that it's written, though, that
So
is how it
that's-
would be left. So
that's
then
right.
we
So it
would
would be
not pull
yes.
it out and leave it in the consent agenda. Does that make sense? Right.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so forget that we're pulling it out. It's going back in the consent agenda. This is good. See, we're talking it through. All right. So no other conversations about particular resolutions, then we will defer this and we'll revisit it in the consent agenda. So thank you very much. Next, we are going to have an update on the Strategic Planning Committee.
Yes, so just to refresh everyone's memory about the structure of the Strategic Planning Committee. So the governing committee, which is the overarching committee, has member selection from all different groups throughout the community. 4 community members, 4 parents, 4 students, 4 members of the teacher union, 4 members of the administrative unit, and then 1 member from each of the other units in the district as well. So as well as having, since it is a board committee, it will be chaired by a board member. Sue is going to be the chair for the governing group, and Vinny, I believe, as well, and myself as superintendent. The subcommittees are not limited. So anyone that had applied in the application process, if you are not selected for the governing group, you are more than welcome to join any one or all of the subgroups or ones you really like at any time. We are going to have to do some revisions to the dates based upon some time changes. And we have to be careful because we do have night activities. We're trying to make the meetings a little later to accommodate some members of the committees that need to come later and be present. 5 o'clock start time might not work for everybody. So we're going to try to move that out, but we have to be careful with our calendar, what we don't overlap with something that's going on in one of the schools. Tomorrow, we will be sending emails to the parents and the community members that were selected to be on the committee. You'll receive that email from myself with Sue's name on it next to mine. And then the meeting schedule will come after that. If for whatever reason those individuals aren't available for those meetings, for whatever the reason, the board will appoint alternates to take those individuals' place. So that, look forward to that coming out. Anyone that applied, you will receive an email telling you that you were not selected for the governing committee, but you are welcome to join any of the committees that you designated on the survey that we submitted.
Thank you. Any board questions? Okay, terrific. Okay, we're going to move on now to our good news part of the meeting, and we will start with Arrowhead, Ms. Pavlinka.
Okay, love my Arrowhead. All right, so at Arrowhead, they had their second Family Connect night on Tuesday this week. Students did not have homework that evening, and they were encouraged to step away from their screens and do activities together as a family, which is great. They sent in pictures, and they are posted to the Arrowhead website. They also had an internet safety assembly for grades 4 through 6. The local sheriff's office came and did an informative and interactive presentation with the students. On Friday, coming up, our K through 1 students will participate in fire prevention assembly program with the local fire department and EMTs. This coming Saturday, the PTA is going to host a harvest festival right on the grounds of Arrowhead. All welcome. District-wide grade level meetings are going on throughout the month of October. And the character trait for the month of October at Arrowhead is compassion. And also, during the month of October, they are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month and Family History Month. So they are looking forward to celebrating Unity Week from October 17th to October 21st and Unity Day on October 19th. All Arrowhead families received a letter about Unity Week, and all information is, of course, posted on their website. Go Arrowhead.
All right, terrific. Thank you so much. Minnesota, Dr. Kerman.
Minnesota has clubs started. They have a dance club, a student council club, a wellness club, a justice club, and many more. The fourth graders participated in a cultural arts program called Stormwater Heroes, where they learned about the various starts of pollution and how that pollution enters our water, and how that can affect the marine life. Students learn how to build a storm drain system and become Storm Master superheroes. The sixth graders worked together to put together a beautiful banner for homecoming. It featured positive message for a new school year and focused on the district theme of new beginnings. The Minnesota banner won the banner for elementary schools.
Nice job. Way to brag. All right, Mount, Mr. Vizzo.
Mount has a busy October. On October 7th, the Stony Brook Fire Department visited the K-6 classes there. They had safety assemblies, and they all went outside, and of course they wanted to jump on the trucks that were there, so they were able to go on the trucks and have some fun outside. On October 19th is going to be their Unity Day, and this year again is the wearing of orange. I like their theme, unity and kindness, acceptance and inclusion of all, the idea of no bullying. And they're going to be making a unity link where they're all going to be making something and attaching it together in order to make one big link showing togetherness. On October 26th, they're going to be wearing pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Day. And what they're also going to do is have some jars around the school for collections, and then the donations will go to the West Islip Breast Cancer Coalition. And of course, finally, on October 31st, we cannot have the kindergartners will be outside, of course, and their costumes and a parade for their parents. So they have a busy month.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Nassau, Ms. Solomon.
So Nassau had their fall festival with over 300 people in attendance. They had their first PTA meeting, which was very well attended, and their first building level DEI committee meeting, and their club started this week as well. Ms. Levine and Ms. Nastry have been visiting classes and doing read-alouds with various grade levels, and they also had a Power Pink Day on October 6th. Faculty wore pink for breast cancer awareness and raised money for the American Cancer Society.
Terrific, thank you. Setauket, Dr. Lee.
So there wasn't a PTA meeting in the last 2 weeks. These are inputs I got from Dr. Rinaldi, the principal of Setauket. I'll read it. We're happy to celebrate that PTA held a back-to-school bash for all grade levels. It was farm-themed and had many activities for the students to participate in. Open house was well attended. It was wonderful seeing all of our families. Kindergarten will be visiting the firehouse this week. Yay! Staff members are planting mums donated by the PTA in the courtyard in our outdoor learning space for students. We have many events coming up for Unity Week, and that we can share with you for the next meeting. So the next PTA meeting will be next Thursday, October 20th at 7 p.m. Dr. Scanlon will be present the strategic planning details. So any parents interested in learning that, please welcome to join.
Excellent, thank you so much. Okay, I've got Jelinas. Very happy to report field trips are back, yay! The first is the fishing trip on the 18th for the 9th graders from their science classes. They're going out on the Celtic Quest out of Port Jeff. On the 20th, the 9th graders will come up to the high school along with the Murphy 9th graders for Tim Schumacher's anti-vaping presentation and workshop. And the 7th graders, very happy, get to go back to A Christmas Carol at Theater 3 this year after they read it in their English classes. This Friday is the 20th production of their annual Issues play, and this year they are redoing one that they've done in the past called Addict. There's going to be an evening performance on Friday at 7 p.m. that parents in the community are welcome to come and bring 7th and 8th graders, you know, as per your comfort level with your children, since it is a little bit sensitive. We're talking about various forms of addiction. And Unity Day will be celebrated on Wednesday the 19th, and also the day before on the 18th during the PE classes. They're going to be doing some team building activities, getting to know some of the fellow students that they don't already know, obviously wearing orange, and they're hoping to recycle some of the orange shirts from last year, and the 7th graders will get their new ones. And that's it for Jelena. So we move on now to Mrs. Gish from Murphy.
Okay. I'm very happy to announce that Murphy is going to reinstate their International Week. That was really a high point of my memories of Murphy Junior High School with my own kids. Kids dressed up, they shared their culture, games, songs, and loads of food. So it was really a fun time. I'm glad with COVID, it had to be stopped. But I'm glad that they're working on getting it up again. Clubs are starting, and Be Still My Heart, they are having a sewing club. Now, on another note, I just want to mention something that came up at the PTA meeting. We don't really have sidewalks near our schools. And Oxhead Road, with parents coming to Nichols Road, people going both ways, the traffic there is really bad, and it's fast. People just go flying by. I want to just remind everyone, it is a school zone, and we really need to look for safety for our kids at that school especially. All our schools, but right there is really a problem, an issue. And that's it.
Good point. Thank you so much. The Academy, Ms. Solomon. That's fine. We'll defer the Academy to next time. And the high school, do we have anything to add to Mikhail's fabulous report? You covered it all. You're doing her job.
That was very comprehensive.
Wait, I
and-
have a question for you.
Yes.
When is Trick or Treat? Trick or Treat Street is October 31st, Monday, Halloween. What time is it?
I think it's 4, I want to say 4 to 7
4
p.m.
to 7, okay.
No one's really sure on the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 to 7 p.m.
Yeah, but it
Halloween.
is on
Yep.
Halloween.
It is on Halloween, yep.
Okay, just confirming. Thank you.
And it's outside like last year.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for all
And
of that.
thank you for making my job with Ward Melville a little easier. I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move on to item 7, our consent agenda. May I have a motion to open this up? Second? Okay, so we'll go through these. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to defer the minutes, so we will go now to formally vote on those NYSSBA resolutions as presented, as written. So all in favor of the NYSSBA resolutions? Actually, yeah. Oh, right, okay, you're right, sorry, don't need to do that one. Moving on to D, appointment of special investigative counsel.
Yes. This is the approval for special counsel as a result of the situation that was discussed in executive session today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we will have the acceptance of the independent auditor's report. Again, accepting it, not approving it. Anything else you wanted to add about that, Mr. Carlson?
No, ma'am.
Item F, Mr. Carlson, that's you?
Yes, this is an addendum to an existing special education service contract we have to add various evaluation services.
Thank you. G, Dr. Biscari?
This is an affiliation agreement with Baylor University for a field placement, a clinical field placement for someone seeking experience in speech pathology.
Excellent, thank you. H, recommendations on Committee of Special Education Subcommittee and 504 Accommodation Plan meetings as listed. And item I, recommendations of Committee on Preschool Special Education meetings as listed. And we go to item J, Dr. Dabrowski?
Yes, J is an MOA to develop a rate for administrators to stay after school for some of the committees on the attached MOA, listed on the attached MOA.
Were those brought to the board? Did we see any of that before this?
This,
I don't remember seeing any of this. I just wanted to know. I didn't even look at it.
this was something that was in conjunction with what was also done with TVTA. This was also for the same after-school committees that the teachers were going to be paid for, the administration was going to be paid for. That was the agreement. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, items K and L, Dr. Dabrowski?
Yes. First, personnel. So what you have in front of you are a few instructional retirements, one teaching assistant resignation. We have 5 instructional appointments, an additional 7 substitute teacher recommendations. We have the appointment of several athletic positions, 12 junior high and 19 high school athletic positions. We have a variety of co-curricular activities that include music supervision, appointments of extra assignments that include Saturday enrichment and science Olympiad supervision.
Thank you.
And then, may I continue?
Sure.
Non-instructional, we have 4 resignations of non-instructional employees, appointment of additional security guards, additional SEAs, additional childcare workers, and additional food service workers, as well as an appointment of a variety of non-instructional subs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Scanlon, item M?
Item M is a revision to the contract with the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor of those items in the consent agenda? Any opposed? Any abstention? We had the motion at the beginning. Oh, okay, motion to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to our public comment. At this point, we have one. We would call on Barbara Rosati. Please come to the microphone, state your name. I don't know if it's on.
Sorry, not used to this new technology. So good evening, my name is Barbara Rosati. I guess everybody already knows what I'm going to talk about. So I would just like to briefly comment about the NYSSBA 2022 recommendation on later school start times. So in Three Village, we spent the last 3 years educating ourselves on this topic, and I believe we can all recognize that the NYSSBA recommendation is at best contradictory. They support later school start times. They recognize that the current start times are detrimental to the kids' health. However, they do not support a statewide change. Now, the explanation for this inconsistent decision is even more confusing. And Mr. Carlson, you brought up the tax cap. To my knowledge, that's not what they wrote in the explanation of why they were not recommending statewide later start times. What they wrote was actually that they said that a state mandate would be problematic because of inter-district athletic schedule conflicts, when in fact a state mandate would be a solution to this problem. They also quoted bus driver shortages when there is no relationship whatsoever between later school start times and lack of bus drivers. In fact, some school districts like Buffalo recently are planning later school start times to add tiers to actually alleviate this problem. So unfortunately, it looks like politics and a lack of leadership seem to account for this failure. And honestly, I cannot help but wonder what NYSSBA is even there for if they do not advocate for the kids' education, health, and safety when it counts. And in fact, they should be advocating for funds from the New York State to address this issue and not pin it to local districts to resolve what is a national problem in isolation. So my view is somebody should let NYSSBA know that this lack of leadership and this misinformation is actually letting down all the kids in the state of New York. And by the way, this item could be still brought up for discussion if 2 members decide that they want to discuss it at the NYSSBA convention. So I hope that this is what happens so that they can clarify why they cannot support this decision. Meantime, we are looking forward to assisting you, board members, and Dr. Scanlon in any way we can with this and other issues, because in Three Village we care about our kids' health, the health of the whole community, and we honestly, it's hard to accept howevers and nonethelesses when there is something that is so clearly harmful, especially when we know that there are ways to change and make everything work out. And lastly, we initiated a petition to the board to approve implementation of later school start times for our secondary school. 1,700 of your current students, alumni, their friends and families, health professionals, and community members signed this petition, which I'm bringing to you today. I'm grateful and proud to see that after the pandemic pause, you are following through with this request. Thank you very much. And I trust that at least here in Three Village, if not at the state level, we understand the tremendous impact that the teen sleep deprivation has on mental and physical health, and that we will start asking ourselves how we can avoid this rather than if. And so I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. No others?
Mrs. Rosenweig, can I bring you the
Yes,
petition?
please do. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Fantastic, thank you. All right, well, any other comments, questions, thoughts before we adjourn? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? All right, thank you, everybody.